Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is A Conversation in Jazz, where we are promoting jazz through telling the stories. Our guest today is the wonderful saxophonist, educator, composer, and arranger, Dr. Leigh Pilzer. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology 101. That's $Jazzology 101. Enjoy the video. Hi, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is A Conversation in Jazz. Our guest today is one of the first ladies of the jazz saxophone. A consummate musician, multi-instrumentalist, educator, composer, arranger, she has performed nationally and internationally with the likes of the Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra, the Diva Jazz Orchestra, and the National Symphony Orchestra. Her combo has performed in some of the top venues here in the DMV. Please welcome my friend and the wonderful saxophonist, Dr. Leigh Pilzer.
Good morning.
How you doing? Welcome to A Conversation in Jazz.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm going to get used to calling you doctor.
Yes, yes, please do. Please see that you do.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that.
Alrighty.
Okay. But so what we do here is we get to know some things about you that we may not know.
Oh dear.
I call it we learn the story behind the story.
Okie dokie.
So, and we were talking about when we first met.
Yep.
And you remember.
No, I remember knowing you. I don't remember ever like, hello, you know.
And you said, where did we meet?
It was Original Twins.
On Colorado?
God, wasn't that a great hang?
Was it a jam session?
Probably, yeah. It was probably a session. I mean.
So we go back, that's back in the day.
Yeah, well, we're not going to. But wasn't that a hang?
Yeah. But I think I knew your sister. I met your sister before I met you.
She did your record cover.
Yeah, she did the graphics.
Yeah.
For
Tracy.
my first CD, The Exchange. Yeah. How's she doing?
She good.
Okay.
She good.
Wow. Beautiful. So it's been nice knowing you all these years.
I know, but you know the funny thing is we've known each other, but it's like we cross paths,
yeah,
and then like we wouldn't for like 10 years,
yeah,
you know,
and then we'll connect on on some gig,
yeah,
and we're gonna talk about all
but
that.
I mean that's how it goes,
yeah,
you
no
know.
doubt. I like to ask the guests, how they view themselves. So my first question is, who is Leigh Pilzer?
I knew you. We talked about this. So when we were on that gig, last October, I think it was, we did, and you were saying, I'm going to get you on the show, and I said, and you're going to say, who's Leigh Pilzer, and I'm going to go, But you know, it's interesting because you know when I knew I was coming, I'm like, well, who am I? And I thought, you know what, I'm just someone trying to do the best I can, make a little music, make some people smile. Okay. You know, be a good friend, be a good, you know, daughter and wife and friend and colleague and sister and,
beautiful.
You know, all that. Just trying to do the best I can.
And you're doing a great job.
Oh,
Now, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from just like really close to here, Chevy Chase, right outside the district line. I was born actually in the district.
Okay.
But grew up right outside the district line in Chevy Chase.
And what was it like coming up in Chevy Chase? Oh, you're from the DMV.
Yeah.
When you were coming up, what was it like? What was your experience like coming up?
Well, you know, God, it was so different then because there were a lot of kids in the neighborhood my age. And I mean, we ran around in the street. You know, our parents, they had no idea where we were or what we were doing, you know. And I think now it's, you know.
Things are different.
We rode our bikes. There were no helmets.
This was pre-computer, internet, and all that. So it was a different kind of vibe. Yeah.
My favorite activity, I think, back then, and still, is reading. I would read.
Reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to read a lot.
Wow.
But you know, I didn't play the saxophone then.
Okay. We're gonna learn about that.
I know that.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, do you come from a musical family?
Yeah, kind of yes and no. So my mom actually was a pretty good pianist.
Okay.
But you know, I came around just shortly after she turned 30, like days after she turned 30, and she already had 3 other kids.
Okay.
So she's kind of busy. So she didn't
So
have.
you have 3 siblings?
I did. One has
Okay.
passed,
Okay.
but yeah. So she played the piano, but she didn't have much time to play it. My dad had the worst ear. I mean, oh my God, he couldn't sing a note. He couldn't hear a note. My brother's a musician, so he owns a studio called Tonal Park in
Really?
Kensington.
I've done some mixing.
Yeah.
Really?
But so what I love is people will go there and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I did some Tonal Park, Charlie Pilzer." I'm like, "Yeah, you know that's my brother."
Wow.
And they'll say, "That's your brother?" And I'll say, "How many people named Pilzer do you know?"
What?
You know.
Wow, that's true.
So he's in music. And then my sisters are both graphic artists, although my sister Allie, who's the one that died in 2013, I think she actually had the best ear of all of us.
Wow.
One day she's singing this Thelonious Monk song, like just you know how you do, you kind of hum, and I'm like, where did you learn that? She goes, well, it's on the record that you play all the time. But
Wow.
she had great, and she sat in my room. I had a piano in my bedroom when I was growing up. I thought that was so cool. But when I transcribed my first song, she was in the room, and it was a pop tune that somebody asked me to take off for a wedding, and I'd be like, is it this chord? Is it this chord? She'd be like, no, that's too jazzy, and I'd be like, okay, it's a triad. It's not a 7th chord. She could hear
Really?
the difference, yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so
I remember you telling me, now you're the baby. You the baby?
I am indeed, and I act just like it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you spoiled? Did they spoil you?
No, not really. No, I mean they, you know.
Are y'all close?
Yeah, you know, and we all live in the area. We all live in the area, and so my mom still lives in the house I grew up in.
Wow.
That's the only house I ever lived in growing up. She lives there. I live just a mile away from her. My sister lives 2 doors away.
Wow.
And then my brother's all the way over in Takoma Park.
Beautiful.
But my parents were both born here.
Okay.
They grew up, my mom grew up in Shepherd Park, and my dad grew up on 16th Street.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did y'all have a lot of fun coming up?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, what kind of music did you listen to coming up?
I listened to Baroque music, and I listened to big orchestra pieces like Beethoven and Tchaikovsky.
As a kid?
I know.
So music fascinated you as a kid?
So, you want the story?
Yes.
Okay. So my mom put me in piano lessons in 3rd grade, and it was group piano. And I kind of hated it, and I was a little better at it than the others, and it's kind of like, I just want to play, I don't want to, you know. But in 4th grade, it was when they start the band and orchestra program, and a friend of mine played the cello. And so she wasn't my best friend, a good friend, and she was one of the ones that lived in the neighborhood. And I have no idea why I became obsessed with the cello, and I just wanted to play the cello. That's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
So I begged, and my mom said, do piano 1 more year. If you still want cello after that, you know, okay, we'll start you on cello. So in 5th grade, I started on cello. So that's why I listened to a lot of, like, Baroque cello concerti.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I listened to.
So you still play cello?
No, not really. I had loaned my instrument to somebody's child quite some years ago, and well, it never came home. But that's okay because that person left me a piano, so I figured, you know what, I'm not going to bug her sons. But my husband surprised me with a cello a few years ago for my birthday. I walked out in the kitchen, and there it is with a little green bow on the case.
So you start practicing?
I did. And you know, it's amazing how much was still there.
Wow.
And I played, I went down to Levine's school and played in the orchestra there. And I was having a great time. But when I got into grad school, which we'll get back to, it was like, well, you know, I am not going to grad school for cello. But I got, can I tell you a little story about the
Yes, you
so
can.
the cello? So Amy Shook had my cello for a minute. because Amy plays all the string
Yeah.
instruments. And she had a project writing string parts and playing all the string parts for Kelly Bell, Kelly Bell up in Baltimore. So she did a whole bunch of stuff for his for a CD. I'm also on the CD, but playing Barry in the horn section and we're not on any of the same tunes, but we're on the same CD. So then Kelly wanted to do a video, and he wanted to have Amy playing the string part, but she had played them all on the recording, so she needed more people.
Wow.
So she said, "Well, I'll get Leigh to do it." So I'm on the
wow.
video. I'm actually playing, but what you're hearing is Amy. But I'm on.
But you're playing the part.
I'm on the Kelly Bell video playing my cello.
And it's funny because I can see you saying, "Well, let me learn it," so I'm planning to write notes on the video. That's cool.
It's a beautiful, man. Every time I hear it, I just think, gosh.
Wow.
I sit, if I play with the National Symphony, they make me happy just to look at the cellos, just
Wow.
to see the instrument. It makes me happy.
Wow. When I was a kid, I don't know, like we would go hear classical music, and it was too much for me because it was
Yeah.
so much. I mean, it was long.
Yeah.
I couldn't follow the form, so it wasn't until I got older that I really began appreciating like European classical music. But do you still listen to a lot of European classical music?
No, I haven't listened to any in years. If I didn't have to listen to it for school, I did not listen to it.
Wow. So you said your first instrument was the piano,
Yeah,
and then you moved over to cello.
yeah.
And you started learning music formally, or did you start music just?
Well, we had the little group orchestra at school. So I don't even remember. I mean, I
Okay.
knew how to read music. I don't think they taught us much about
Okay.
about playing. I started cello lessons probably in 6th or 7th grade, maybe, and I took cello all the way up till I played cello till it was about 20 when I made the switch over.
And you were taking private lessons in Hona? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So did music come easy for you?
Yeah, it kind of did.
Wow. Now, reading, what aspect of music came easy for you? Was it reading? Do you have perfect pitch?
Oh God, no.
Okay. But you have good ears. I could tell.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we all, you get that thing, the perfect pitch kind of on your instrument where you're
Yeah,
hearing someone
yeah,
play.
gotcha.
If you're more on tenor or Barry, not so much on alto, but you just know what the note is. But I think what came easy was just understanding how it worked.
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of that is from playing cello because you play a lot and playing, like I say, Baroque music. I played a bunch of Baroque pieces. Bop, 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 bop. You're playing all of that. So I think that from hearing bass lines and understanding how they went and then the harmonies on top of that, because the theory and understanding what's happening always has been felt very natural.
So when you were in school playing, were you like the first chair? Were you top of the...
No, actually, because there was, I loved it. I was not necessarily the most motivated practicer. And by the time I was in high school, my best friend played the cello, and we were about evenly matched. We used to play duets and stuff. But there was another student named Claire Trahan. Her sister Kathy is a flute player in the area, and Claire was phenomenal. She placed second in the National Symphony Young Soloist Competition. When we were seniors or whatever. So there was no first chair for anybody else.
When did you start playing the saxophone?
The fall after I graduated high school.
And what made you decide I want to play
CountBasie.
CountBasie?
CountBasie. Well, I mean, not him himself.
Yeah.
Not
So
he didn't sit down.
Explain how that worked.
Okay. Long story or short story?
Long story.
Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. So when I was in high school, there was a place out in Rockville, Frankie Condon's Supper Club. And the fellow named Mike Crotty, you remember Mike, don't you?
Yeah.
So he was the arranger for the Airman a Note, and he had like a rehearsal band, a kicks band, that he would get together. And I think they used to rehearse Sunday mornings, because I think it was the Sunday morning big band. But anyway, they were playing Monday nights out at this restaurant. And a friend of mine who was in the played trumpet says, "Oh, you should come out and hear this big band." Because I was playing piano in the big band at school when I was in high school. I kind of didn't know what I was. I kind of did and kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing it. So there you go. But anyway, Ron Horton, his name is, said, "You should come out and hear this big band." Well, Monday nights I had orchestra rehearsal, but so I would go to my orchestra rehearsal, and then I would drive over to Rockville, and I would take my cello in, because you don't leave your instrument in the car, so especially if sitting in the back seat. So I go in by my cello, and heard this big band, which was like, wow. And Mike was into a lot of reharm and woodwinds and all that, and through my friend Ron, and from going to the club, I met Bill Potts, jazz composer, arranger, pianist. He worked at Montgomery College, just around the corner, and he used to come on Monday nights and hear the band, so I got to know Bill. And Bill kind of took me under his wing. He was my first mentor, for sure. And I would go over to his place, and he'd play records, and they were records, unless they were his reel-to-reel tapes. I wonder how many people watching this actually know what reel-to-reel tape is. Yeah. We'll get into that another time. But, Bill kind of brought me, because Mike was a little more modern, Mike's band, and Bill brought me back to, Lester Young and, Alan Zoot and just some real straight-ahead stuff. And he, and he would play me big bands, records and all, but he took me to hear CountBasie.
Live?
Yeah. And not only was it live, okay, so long story. So this is up in Frederick at that Weinberg Center. And Chuck Red had come to the concert too, because Chuck went to MC, so we all kind of knew us. That's where I met Chuck and Robert. So Bill and I are sitting up there in the audience, and Chuck was kind of hanging out backstage, because Bill knew Basie. So, Chuck had met him, and, and I ended up meeting him, getting a couple pictures,
CountBasie?
Yeah.
You met CountBasie?
Yes, I have pictures with CountBasie.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I have a picture of me sitting on a sofa with Clark Terry playing me Happy Birthday. Yes, I do.
You haven't posted it on Facebook?
I'd have to
That's
scan.
so cool.
I'd have to find them and scan them. So anyway, we're sitting there hearing the Basie band, and Chuck walks out on the stage, and Bill and I are like, "Has he lost his mind? What is going on?" And Chuck walks over to CountBasie, who's playing the piano, and leans over and says something to him. And we're like, Chuck's lost his mind. Anyway, next thing we know, out on the stage walks Joe Williams, who was coming into town to play at Blues Alley the next night, and decided to stop off and surprise CountBasie by stopping by and sitting in.
Wow.
Yeah, so you think that was an experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, but I just saw that band. And I had been listening to like Toshiko Akiyoshi and all that, and I just thought all the, the flutes and the clarinets were cool. But boy, I heard that band, and it's like the analogy when I read this, because I told you I read a lot. So I never saw The Godfather, but I read the books. I read the book. So there's a point at which, the son who gets, exiled to Italy meets this woman, young woman. And all the locals are teasing him, and whatever the saying is in Italian, it translates to the bolt from the blue that hits you, and, boom, you're done for. That it was like that. It was like,
wow.
I need to do that. I need to play that music. And of course, what would have made sense is if I would have played bass, because I played the cello.
Yeah.
But I'm not always that smart. So I decided that trumpet would hurt too much, and I'm, from what I hear, I'm correct, from what they tell me. So I decided to play saxophone, and I should have played trombone, because I think like a trombone player. But I decided to play saxophone.
So you just wanted to be a part of it.
I wanted to be a part of it.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So what saxophone did you start with?
I started on alto, just because, I don't know, because I was like, well, everybody plays tenor. I don't know who I thought everybody was, but I started on alto. But about 6 months after I'd started, so I'm out at MC. I'm a cello major out at Montgomery College, and I'm not in the big band or anything, because I've been playing 6 months. But the big band had a little gig, playing for the president of the college, and the bari player couldn't make it. And Chuck Red was playing drums in the band. So Chuck says to the guy running the big band, he says, well, Leigh plays saxophone now. Get her to do it. Okay. And so they had this nice low B-flat Mark 6. And I'm like, can you get me a Meyer mouthpiece? And they're like, yeah, okay. I knew nothing, you know. And I played one note on that baritone, and it was like, oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
You
the
fell
one.
in love with the bari from...
It was just like that was, well, you know, I mean, I'd at that point been playing cello for, I don't know, over 10 years, you know, but it was like that was the, you know, that was the one, that was the sound.
So can I tell you my baritone saxophone story?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm in high school.
Yes.
I had these horns that beat up horns I played. So I'm in the stage, we call it the stage band.
Yep.
In high school.
That's what we did.
And the Mr. Gorniak, I went to Creative Performing Arts. He puts me on bari. Now I'm like 4'2", playing the baritone saxophone, and you know, I want a solo, you know,
Yeah.
So, and you know, most of those arrangements,
they never have bari solos.
So, and my boy Don Ward, they getting all the solos, and he's and you know, and I'm playing this big old instrument. And I do my best, but the instrument was bigger than me, and then I would have to carry it, and so I don't think after that, I don't think I've ever played bari again.
You know what's funny is when I'm playing bari, I don't think about it, but if I see a picture of someone else playing bari, or even sometimes if I see a picture of myself with bari, I'm like, good grief, that's a big instrument. Yeah. But when I'm playing it, I never think about it. I just don't think about it.
And we're gonna talk about the bari too,
I love
because you know, everybody. I don't think everybody can get that sound. And you have. Yeah,
but not everybody can get your alto sound, so you know.
Yeah, but well,
I mean, we all
guess
got
it's
our
all
own
personal.
Yeah.
But bari is just. I know it takes a lot of wind. I can imagine. I haven't played in years. And
it's just different air.
It's different,
yeah.
Different. So we're going to talk about that.
All right.
But I want to go back. Now, when did you decide that? When did you know that music was going to be your life's calling?
You know, that was not a bolt from the blue. I never. It was not like I'm going to do this. There was just never anything else I was interested in.
Okay.
And
except reading.
Yeah, there was reading.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was.
You just followed your
and when I was a senior in high school, and all of my friends were, I'm applying here because they have a great program in this, and they have a great program in that. I'm just like thinking, how do these people know? I had no idea, and I was to have gone to a random college that I picked randomly because the weather was nice, and had no idea what I was going to study. But the summer before I was to go, I started meeting, a bunch of the musicians playing in Mike Crotty's band and just going to sessions. I mean, I wasn't playing at all. I didn't own a saxophone at that point, but going and hanging out at jam sessions and just learning more and hearing more and just really getting excited about that music. And I stayed out so many nights. I ended up with mono and did not go away to school and ended up going to Montgomery College here in Rockville, which was the best thing that could have happened for me. And I just enrolled in a bunch of music courses. And that's when I say, so when I got to Montgomery College and I went to the music theory 1 class because we didn't have music theory in high school. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think I need to take this class. And I went and, talked to someone, maybe did a placement test or something there. And I never took it because just from playing the cello, all that it was all Music Theory 1 was telling me was the names of the sounds I already knew, which basically is what music theory does anyway. But I do love music theory. But so around that time, if you'd have asked me, I guess by then, I knew it was what I was going to do. But if you'd have asked me at that point, what I was going to do, I would have said, well, I'm going to be a freelance cellist because I never thought that I, would get a symphony position. And I'm going to teach music theory in college.
Gotcha.
That's what I thought I was going to do.
Wow.
Which is interesting because now I play baritone saxophone and teach jazz theory in college.
That's how life works.
It does. It really does.
Now, do you remember when you first heard jazz, you told us about the CountBasie.
But before that, there was a thing, I'm not sure if it's still going or not, but Montgomery County had a summer jazz program, and that was out at MC. And Bill was part of that. He taught arranging, and some of my friends from high school went and did that. I think Chuck did it. Paul Langosh did that. I wasn't in high school with either of them, but but they're local. But this fellow Ron Horton that I mentioned, this trumpet player who's played with Frank Kimbrough and Jane Ira Bloom and some folks like that, a bunch of them did that, and they were in the stage band at in my high school, and they had jazz records.
Okay.
So I remember Mel Lewis and Friends being one of the first ones I ever heard.
Did you hear jazz when you first heard it? Meaning, like some people, my elementary kids, I play some jazz for them. They be holding their ear.
Aww.
It's because this generation they're not used to hearing live music. They used to hearing these.
Well, and heaven help you if you play like something that's recorded in the 1940s and doesn't have pristine sonic values.
But when I first heard, and I tell people this, when I first heard like Charlie Parker, I would think I was 12. I was blown away, like as a kid. I mean, like
that's what.
Wow.
I wish I had had that experience. I don't remember hearing jazz until high school.
Okay.
And then Bill, when I graduated or that last semester, playing me stuff. But I don't remember ever hearing it as a kid.
And I went to Settlement Music School in Philly.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. And I remember going in, and in the basement, I was hearing this sound, and a guy named Lovett Hines, who's really helped a lot of young jazz artists in Philly. Christian McBride, he's got a lot of cats out of Jaleel Shaw, and I went down there, and here's a little Joey DeFrancisco.
Oh no!
He's Joe had to be about 10, 11, like playing like a grown man, and I was like. I used to come after my saxophone lesson. I used to just go there and just listen, and that experience you had with CountBasie. That was like that for me.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I heard Charlie Parker.
Yeah. But did you see I saw like Downbeat or something in there on the back covers, Joey DeFrancesco playing saxophone. I'm like, dude, really? Seriously?
Yeah, he's.
Can you leave something for the rest of us?
Exactly. And then he plays trumpet.
I know.
Yeah. He's just one of those kind of talents.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now.
Yes.
Where we at? Mm-hmm. Okay.
What happened?
Was there a particular teacher that really had a big, profound impact on you as a developing musician?
Well, certainly Bill.
Okay.
What's
his name?
Bill Potts.
Bill Potts. Okay, gotta give him some love.
But he was sort of more of a mentor, than an actual teacher.
Okay.
Boy, that's a question. I'm certainly as when I was in grad school, I had some academic professors that just really showed me what good teaching was about and being a good mentor and role model for that. But as far as like a private teacher, it's been like stuff from all of them. Mm-hmm. But
you got a little bit here.
I don't know that I ever found the teacher for me.
Okay.
Still looking. I get a lesson from you. Teach me all that stuff you do.
You good. You teach it. You good. So, what was your practice acumen like were you like you seem to be like a taskmaster. Like when I see you when we with the band, it's like if it's a part that is challenging, you're gonna tackle it.
Oh my God, I gotta. Oh, okay, you want me to go off on a tangent here?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you and I were wrestling with those Toshiko
Oh,
Akiyoshi
God.
woodwind parts when we were on the road with Smithsonian. So we were supposed to play a concert March 28th or something, 2020, with Smithsonian, and there was another Toshiko piece on that with another one of those solis with the bass clarinet part, and so that got rescheduled. It was supposed to have been April 1st of this year, but it got rescheduled. It's presumably happening in June. But do you know, I found out about that in like September. I've been practicing that part since September, and I figure by June I'll have it up to tempo.
But you are a taskmaster. Do you apply that kind of diligence to everything?
I'm good at practicing like that.
Okay.
When it comes to general like improv stuff, I get really overwhelmed because if I'm working on my Toshiko Akiyoshi bass clarinet part, there it is, If I'm like, I want to work something new into my sound, it's like the whole world's open to you.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to know.
You know who really helped me? Charlie Young.
Yeah.
I had Charlie for 2 years at Howard, and he really, just with the saxophone and focusing on specific things, subtleties.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher.
I had one, I wouldn't even call it a lesson, it was hanging out, talk about lead alto when Sherry had asked me to play some lead and diva, and I'm like, Charlie, I don't know how to play lead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, God, I'd be scared to death to take a lesson with Charlie.
Oh, no, Charlie's good.
I'd be scared. I'd be scared.
No,
Charlie, if you're watching this, I'd be scared.
He's a great teacher.
No, I know.
He's
a great human.
Yeah, Gates a great and funny.
Yeah. I've known him forever.
Yeah. Charlie, good guy.
Yeah.
But so have you ever studied saxophone with someone in particular?
Yeah, well, at Berklee, I studied with Joe Viola, Jimmy Mosier, and then at Maryland, I studied with Chris Vidala, and then I stayed and did a degree with Dale Underwood, a classical degree. And at Mason, I studied with Tyler Kubler and Jim Carroll and Rick Perel and Xavier Perez.
Okay, I knew I knew it because you played too good.
Oh.
I knew. I said. I know you had to your technique.
I'll tell you, Dale really helped me. Doing because I did a master's in jazz studies at Maryland, and then I stayed and did a master's in saxophone performance.
Wow, gotcha.
And he really helped my playing a lot.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And let's talk about doubling. I need your help. I need your help. Now, we at saxophone, we are required to.
Yeah, we are.
And
I got a drink. You're driving me to drink.
No, you're very good.
No.
Oh man.
I am an adequate big band doubler, but there are people out there.
But I'm going to be committed to it. I think it's about commitment. I'm going to. And
and there are people who like that challenge. I got a friend up in New York, Christy Norder, fabulous doubler. And I mean, her discipline on practicing those doubles and studying privately and all. And I've had some flute and clarinet, I've studied with this one or that one. Studied with Kathy Trahan, actually, the sister of the cellist. But I have a passion for that.
Okay.
And I feel like I started saxophone late. And when I went to Berklee, I was still pretty much a beginner on saxophone. And I got kind of shuffled into this arranging track.
Yeah.
And so it was always, Lee's a writer. And it wasn't until my last semester at Berklee, towards the end of my stay at Berklee, I was starting to think, man, I kind of really like playing. And I had what they call directed study, which was like a one-on-one seminar in arranging. It was part of my degree with Greg Hopkins, played trumpet and wrote a lot. Played with Buddy Rich and a bunch of folks. And and I was I talked to Greg, and I said something about that I didn't, because my degree was that I was about to graduate with was jazz composition and arranging. And during the time I'd been at Berklee, they'd started a commercial arranging track. And I thought, I wonder if I'd be better suited for that. And I said to something to Greg, like, yeah, I'm in the wrong, I feel like sometimes I think I'm in the wrong degree. And he just looked at me and goes, yeah, you're a player. But by that time I was graduating, and then I was kind of gigging with a bunch of big bands and this and that. And, the study, I didn't study again for years till I went to Maryland. And I always feel like I'm so behind. Like when I picked up that cello, the stuff that I learned when I was a kid, a lot of it was still there. Because, when you're young and your brain's all plastic, So I've always felt really behind on the saxophone. So I don't want to spend that time on flute and clarinet when I've still got so much catching up to do on saxophone.
You're doing a great job.
I am running out of time. There is not enough time. Not enough.
Let's talk about your music mindset.
Oh, do we?
One thing I noticed that when we, with the Smithsonian Jazz Masterwork Orchestra, you're going to be there early. You're going to have your pencils. You're going to have your reeds. You're going to have different mouthpieces. And what is that? That's a mindset. And like I'm CP. I may be CP time. So I gotta. Anyway.
Well, part of that is when I came home from Berklee, and the nice thing was because I was from here and I was hanging out, I knew musicians. So when I came back, I could come back to some work. It was somewhere where there was work, and people were hooking me up, And there was a woman who played piano in town, and she said, do you want to learn how to do club dates? She says, because I'll teach you. And if you want. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And her work ethic, we were at gigs, because we would carpool a lot. We were at gigs very early. Yeah. Very early. And now that I'm older and I'm doing more teaching and working with, students, mentoring, and thinking about, what does it take? It's like there's a million saxophonists out there, there's a billion. Yeah. And so if it's going to come down to me versus someone else, but, I can be as prepared as I can and be on time and have my pencils and kind of, again, my friend Christy, the woodwind player up in New York, she says, when she's subbing for someone on a Broadway show or someone subbing for her, she says, the sub's job is to make everybody's life easier. Just come in. And so my job as a sideman or a band leader is just make it as easy as possible for everyone around me.
Easy like Sunday morning.
Except when there's daylight saving time kicking in.
Exactly. So do you have a music philosophy that you live by?
I'm sorry. It is. So I'm going to talk to that. So this is Sunday morning. It's March 13th, and daylight saving time kicked in last night. We're here, and it's 10 in the morning. So my brain's a little, Bill Potts he was this big Santa Claus-looking guy with this deep voice, and his little saying was, "Swing or I'll kill you." So I would not necessarily say that's my music philosophy, but I just kind of want to have some fun and make it fun for other people and make some music. And
do you love playing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It hurts physically, but yes, I do love it. And I want to just do the best I can.
Well, you're doing it.
Well, I can tell you every way in which I'm not, but that's another program. That's another program.
How do you listen to music? Do you have first of all, do you do lots of listening?
Not so much now as I used to.
Gotcha.
And, when I do, I remember what I loved about it.
Okay.
But, kind of, a lot of times my mind, if I'm listening to music, my mind's just racing, thinking about what I need to practice, my bass clarinet solely. I just finished writing 10 charts in 5 weeks, and I'm going to actually do another one when I get home. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to write, or what I'm here, or I'll hear something. Oh, I could write that, or So it's hard for me to listen to music with the same sort of, I don't want to say empty mind, but more of a blank canvas and openness, because now it's all layered on with, oh my gosh, I need to do this. Oh, I should be doing that. Oh, could I play that? Oh, what's that?
Gotcha.
So
I was
it's
gonna
not as
ask you.
sort of pure an experience.
I was going to ask you, do you listen from an analytical standpoint, or do you try to make an emotional connection to the music?
I would say I try to make emotional, but I very often get distracted by the other. But I'll tell you what's funny is, when I go back to stuff, again, we're talking about, when I go back to stuff that I listened to when I was first starting, to listen a lot, man, that just resonates with me. So I'm teaching jazz arranging at Maryland this semester. And just on Thursday, the lesson that we did, I was just talking to them about rhythm section arrangements, like how you get Cedar Walton or Ray Brown or Gene Harris, and they're a trio, and they sound like a freaking orchestra. So we were listening to a bunch of recordings, and a couple of them were off this record, Oscar Peterson in Russia. So it's a bunch of solo piano. It's like it's a two record set, because I do have it on vinyl, before vinyl was hip. Yeah. And all these people who love vinyl, wait till they've had to move with like 1,500 LPs or more. Yeah. Anyway, but it's like some solo Oscar, and then Niels Henning, Ørsted Pedersen joins him, and then Jake Hanna. So the band kind of and I had not listened, I used to listen to that a ton, and I had not listened to that, I don't know, 20 years. And I don't know how I happened on it, on like iTunes, or I got the CD or something, but went back and revisited it, and could sing all the solos and knew everything that was going to happen and every nuance of this interaction. And so I'm playing that for my students on Thursday. And man, my like every cell in my body was just zinging with excitement and pleasure and
what about
happiness.
What about when you're listening to music you don't particularly care for, or that doesn't resonate with you?
I don't listen to it for long. Yes, it's difficult. And yeah. I you know what? I don't have enough time to listen to music I don't like.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. All right.
Do you listen to music you don't like? Do you make yourself do it like it's good for you, like broccoli?
You know what I learned as I get older? I try to find what makes this thing work.
Yeah.
Like, even if I don't particularly like it, what makes it, like, because I'm like a student of music. So and I'm just trying to learn. So
Well, you know what I'll do with music I don't like is, what don't I like about it?
Yeah.
So I've got an independent study student, this young woman, Laura Tuba. She's a tenor player at Maryland. So one week I'm like, okay, show and tell, bring in a recording you really love. And I'll bring one in, and we talked about what we loved about them. And then the next week I was like, bring in one you don't like.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what you don't like about it. And we talked about that one. I'm like, so what's the takeaway for you from listening to this thing that you don't really care for?
Wow. And that's, I teach elementary school.
That's very different.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. I don't know.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
But trying to get people to step out there with their comfort zone and what they know, and give something a chance. Because like kids, they may not like jazz, but don't turn it off because it doesn't resonate with you. So that's why I try to have an open mind. So I say, well, just listen to it.
Well, you want to know what's funny about that? So I told you I'm writing these charts. So I've got this concert coming up April 1st with a septet. And it's my first concert with this group that I put together. And doing a bunch of arrangements, mostly of my own tunes. And a lot of these are tunes that I wrote in 2020. So, 2020, we're all home, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, so, I'm an arranger and I can write a tune that sounds like it was in a Broadway musical in 1943, but I kind of beyond that, I don't know how it works. So I took a composition course with this fellow Eric Gould online through Berklee, and he had a really cool we'd have these assignments. It'd be like 15 minutes on the clock, and it would be like write a bass line, write a melody line, write whatever. And then he would have us do things with it. One that was really cool was make a polyrhythm thing, like layered percussion, or polyrhythm. And, but not pitched instrument. So, I do my polyrhythm. And then the next week was now put pitches and chords and, that. So I found working on that, because usually when I'd write a tune, it'd be like, okay, I want to play a tune like this. And, my thing from playing is kind of old school and spang-a-lang,
Yeah.
So everything I write's kind of, 2-5-2-5, spang-a-lang. But somehow, because in this class I didn't have the idea that I was going to play on these tunes, I was just writing. All this stuff came out.
Wow.
And like all this ECM and weather report, and I had to make MP3s, which then that was a whole new, learning thing. But I kept being drawn to all these synthesizer sounds, and I'm like, who is this? So I realized, okay, well, I was freed up because I wasn't tied up in an idea of I'm going to play on this and this is what I play.
Gotcha.
This is who I am and these are the tunes I play. So interestingly, since then, I have started playing these tunes and I'm going to play them with my septet on this concert and possibly record them. But I'm playing on them.
Yeah.
And so it's that thing of kind of being open to it and surprising yourself, because I just have this thing of, I would never play on a tune like that, and then here I am playing straight eighth notes.
What did Duke Ellington say? There are two kinds of music: good music and bad music. That's beautiful. Let's talk about college. You mentioned that you.
I've gone to a lot of college.
We're going to talk about the ones you graduated from. Like, I know you went to Berklee.
Actually, one of my most powerful experiences was the one I didn't graduate from, but that's okay. We'll get.
Was that Montgomery College?
Catholic University.
You went to Catholic too?
I did.
Wow.
I've gone to a lot of college.
Yeah. Well, you finding your way. That's cool. So, but your first college you went to
was Montgomery College.
And from there you went to Berklee?
Yes.
And what made you choose Berklee?
I told you, man, I was kind of, floating. There was a saxophonist in town named Bill Kirshner, and he pulled me aside. He says, because I'd been going to MC a couple of years, he says, what are you doing hanging out in Rockville? You got to go do something. I'm like what? He says, well, you should go to Eastman and study arranging. And I said, Bill, I've been playing saxophone about a year. They're not going to take me at Eastman. He goes, well, then go to Berklee. And I said, okay.
Just went to Berklee.
But I mean, he was the right person in the right place at the right time telling me,
wow,
I needed some direction. And he gave me that direction, And
what was your experience like at Berklee?
Interesting. I wasn't committed to getting a degree, so there was a lot of back and forth with my parents about that. And I was kind of in and out and in and out. I went for 2 semesters. I was out for 2. Socially, it was a little difficult to navigate. Very few women at the time I went. And balancing being taken seriously as a musician with, wanting to date. Yeah. That was kind of difficult. And I just, I was not an early bloomer. So just kind of navigating who in the world I was and what I was doing. It was
Who
tricky.
was there at Berklee when you were there? Like, were there some name cats?
No, Branford was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were there with Branford?
He used to bring his charts into the
Get outta
project
here.
bands. Yeah.
Wow. So you know Branford?
No, I mean, we didn't hang.
Okay.
But friends of mine did. But
That was a great period for jazz, because I think during that time when That's before him. He got out there with. When was that? Like
yeah, I mean, he was, you know, however old he was young.
Yeah.
He was a little wise
Wow.
ass, you know.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you graduated from Berklee.
I did, finally. Yes, I did.
Beautiful. And what was your major? Composition?
Jazz composition and arranging.
Good. Where'd you go from Berklee?
I just hung around in D.C. and played some gigs, played with big bands, played with R&B bands back when R&B meant like Motown.
Gotcha.
You know, that R&B, you know, played club dates, played some shows, played, you know, got hooked up playing with the National Symphony,
Okay.
you know.
But you went back to school.
I went back to school when they started a program at Maryland, a Master's in Jazz Studies, because it was that time I just started thinking, man, I need to be a better saxophonist.
Gotcha.
So that program started. So I was one of the first 2 people enrolled in that.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I went to College Park.
I thought you went to Howard.
I graduated from. I was going working on my doctorate at the time. I was totally not ready.
Yeah, if I had gone directly from undergrad,
Yeah, oh man, I realized. I said, "Oh, this is too." I just at the time I was not ready.
No.
And so I went for maybe a year. Yeah, I went for a year. Ethnomusicology. I was going to call.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and the lady that passed, what was her name? Doctor. I can't think of her name, but she was so nice.
What made you choose ethno?
Huh?
Why ethno?
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I just, because I was just trying to
Yeah.
find my way. And then I knew Saiz and Will Smith was working on that doctorate.
Okay.
Dr. Will Smith.
All right.
There. And so I just
Yeah.
saw this as the next thing. I didn't know what I was doing.
I was kind of like,
Yeah,
okay, I'll go to
yeah,
Berklee,
yeah.
whatever, yeah.
But I realized, okay, I'm not ready for this.
Yep.
That's when I went back and got my second bachelor teaching degree. It was like second bachelor, and that's how I became a teacher. So, but I did attend there for a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
And so you graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park,
Right.
Jazz Studies Performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just jazz studies is what
Okay.
it's called, yeah.
And you recently received
My doctorate.
your Congratulations.
Thank you.
And where'd you get your doctorate from?
Well, I got my doctorate from George Mason,
Okay.
but I actually started my doctorate at Catholic University.
Oh.
And I actually, after I got my jazz studies degree, I really, at that time, by then, I liked being in college.
Yeah,
And I still felt I wanted to be a better saxophone. Like I needed to
Yeah,
know more
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
And that's when I stayed at Maryland and did another degree, another master's with Dale Underwood.
Okay.
So, and then I had always wanted to get a doctorate. Like since when I started my master's, I really wanted a doctorate, but there was kind of nowhere to do it around here, you know, in jazz. And I kind of jerked around, and finally I thought, well, I'm going to go talk to Steve Strunk at Catholic. Did you know Steve?
No.
Okay, Steve was a pianist, jazz pianist, gigged around town, and he was a composer, although what he really was, and what his wife told me was that he only really had the composition degree so he could get a job teaching theory, which he really loved and was brilliant at. And I used to cross paths with Steve on gigs, but he was at Catholic. He'd been there for 30-some years, and I went over and I talked to him, and I said, you know, if I applied, and you know, could I work on do a dissertation that would be jazz oriented with you? And he's like, yes. So I started at Catholic, and I mean, Steve was amazing. It was like that was, you know, that was an experience of working with a teacher that was just magical. He was so sweet. We had this independent study where it was called, I think that the title of it was History of Jazz Through Analysis or something, and he had this bibliography of articles about jazz that I would read, and then I would summarize, and we'd talk about the articles. And I never asked him this explicitly. I think part of the goal was for me to see a lot of writing about music and see how I wanted to write about music, you know. But he was so cute because I'd come in and I'd say, okay, well, this guy's, and we'd talk about these articles. And I was getting up to leave one day, and he just looked up at me and says, thanks. He looked up and he goes, this was fun. And I was like, yeah, it really was. But he died suddenly and unexpectedly, as in I was home working on my counterpoint homework, and I got a phone call that he had collapsed in the gym the night before and died. And there was really nobody. I didn't have very good direction from. I mean, nobody knew how to navigate that situation, and I was crushed. I mean, I was just crushed personally. And around that time, my sister had gotten yet another recurrence of the cancer that eventually took her. So there was just a lot going on, and so I ended up withdrawing from Catholic just because it was like, I can't deal with all this. So then, and that was 2012, 2013, I don't even know, all a blur. And then Mason had started a degree where you still had to take all the classical classes because that's what they have, but you could do your lessons and your juries and recitals would all be jazz, and your dissertation topic could be jazz.
Wow.
So I talked to someone over there about coming, and anyway, and that's where I ended up going, and found a very happy home there.
Wow, beautiful. So what does it feel like being a doctor?
You know, certainly not really all that different, and because, like, for instance, I forget what my doctoral lecture recital date, I think, was April 17th. And my dissertation defense was scheduled for like April 20th or something like that, 2020.
Yeah.
So, you know, we know what happened. And so the process of finishing it was very difficult. My teachers all kind of went radio silent because they were figuring out. And, you know, I think there was this idea of, well, Leigh's pretty self-motivated. But I'm like, guys, you haven't even signed off on my draft. It's just, you know. And then, of course, there's no graduation ceremony. And so, you know, I'm proud of the work I did, and I'm happy I did it. And I think I accomplished a lot of what I wanted to do with that, getting the degree. But there is still that sort of nagging sense of it just kind of like ended.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't really get closed off because it just kind of dribbled away in 2020 along with the rest of 2020.
But you got it.
I did get it. I did get it.
You got it.
I do. Sometimes, you know, you're filling out something online, like, set up an account with us, you know, and you're buying shoes or something, and then it says, what's your title? And every now and then I'll do doctor, just because it's like, yeah, why not? You know, I'm going to be ordering my Converse, you know, I'm going to be Dr. Pilzer.
There you go. That's beautiful. All right. Oh, beautiful. We're going to talk about you we've been talking about you as a performer, but I want to know, how'd you learn how to improvise?
I don't think I ever have yet.
Oh, no, don't. Come on now. You.
Nah, that's...
No, I heard you. And you do it with confidence.
Nah.
I see you get up, get up in front of the band and get on that mic and play.
That's been a difficult journey. That has been a difficult, because if I was late coming to saxophone, I was even later coming to improvisation. Never took improvisation at Berklee.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how'd you learn?
I think just from a lot, you know, all the listening and, you know, and sitting around and thinking what I do and don't like in other people. And then teachers certainly have given me some, you know, direction. You know, some of it very specific, as in, here's this sound, here's this lick, and some of it more conceptual.
Did you do a lot of transcribing solos?
Yeah, at times it kind of came and went.
Gotcha.
What's frustrating is, you know, so like I started a few years ago and I finally finished it. The 6 courses of Pepper Adams playing Baubles, Bangles, and Beads lightning fast. And I'm like, God, he sounds good. And a lot of times when I'm transcribing something that I really like am enjoying and it's just I'm loving it, like I get in there and I'm like, well, I know what that is. Okay, I know what that is. I know it's like, okay, I know what that is, and I could do that. Why don't I do that? Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like, okay, so now what do I do?
Gotcha.
I transcribed a bunch of Joel Fromm at Mason, and that was gorgeous stuff. He's got everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you did is working.
Oh, well, you're kind, but...
All right. I read that you lead your own music combo with what instrumentation?
Well, initially it was a quintet with Jen Krupa on trombone and every rhythm player that we could get to say yes to us. Because, and in retrospect, I think, when we were doing that, we should have gotten our rhythm section. But there's so many great players. We wanted to play with them all.
Yeah.
And then I actually started doing some stuff, quartet, which was very scary and but fun. And then in November 2019, I did a gig with Paul Bratcher playing organ.
Okay.
And Kenny Rittenhouse on trumpet and Frank Russo on drums. And man, we played the first note and it was like we all just like it was like electric.
Wow.
It was this, and I'm like, this is my new group. And I had some nice gigs booked in 2020.
Yeah, it happened to all of us.
It did.
Yeah.
It really did.
Now, what kinds of music does your combo? What type? Is original? You play standards, arrangements?
A mix of things.
Okay.
As I told you, a lot of my originals just sound like standards. So, and I ended up doing, Jen and I would do a lot of Jerry Mulligan just because it was like two-horn arrangements that I'd transcribe, and I don't know, with the organ group, it was just kind of like some more straight-ahead stuff, and then this septet that's got its first performance coming up. It's mostly my originals, the various, some of them straight ahead and some of them not.
Gotcha. All right.
I don't know. It's like I had a direction and I don't know what I'm doing now.
We all experiment.
Yeah.
You're also part of the Diva Jazz Orchestra. So
Yes.
Are you a diva?
Oh, yes.
I asked Amy to say that.
What did she say?
I think she did the same.
Oh, she's the most undiva-like human in the world.
She's so beautiful.
Yes, she is.
But,
Yes, she is.
No, it's a beautiful thing. So, and I think we talked about the Diva Jazz Orchestra. She plays with the Diva, right?
Well, she's not the bass player because we've got the long-term bass player, Noriko Ueda.
Okay.
But Amy's the first call sub for absolutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you get the gig?
Oh, my God, I stalked them.
Huh?
I wanted to be in that band. So I heard about the band,
And it's a band of all divas, right?
It's all women.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
And
band,
I listened to y'all swings.
we got a nice new CD
yes.
about to come out.
Yeah.
But I heard about the band a couple months after it formed.
Okay.
And I sent them a tape, a quick put together, a demo tape. And I get a call back from John the Barber. He's, we're going to put you on the first call sub list. And I'm like, and I waited by the phone, and I waited by the phone, and I waited by the phone. I waited by the phone for 5 years. But, the band was in New York.
Okay.
And, they had some players from out of town, but mostly on chairs where, there was nobody, like bass trombone.
Yeah.
There was nobody in New York. So after about 5 years, they worked their way around to me. So my first gig was on Barry, but then I didn't play Barry with them again for years.
Really?
Yeah. I
What you
played alto and tenor.
Wow.
And I'm the only person who's ever played all 5 saxophone books. I
Wow.
have played all 5
That's
books.
so cool.
Yeah.
And how long have you been playing?
My first gig was 97.
Okay,
So I've been steady, permanent in the band since about 2003.
beautiful. Wow. What you got any special experiences playing
From with them or just playing?
with them? With that band?
Oh, I mean, just playing Carnegie Hall and having them record my tunes and playing the Kennedy
Yeah.
Center and the Hang.
Yeah.
And people get caught up in it's all women and political statement and this and that. What people kind of forget is
It's a hang.
it's a hang.
Yeah.
I want to hang with my friends.
So what is it like? What is the woman hang like?
Lisa Whitaker has this punchline that she's always like, things you won't hear backstage at the CountBasie band. And I am not going to repeat a lot of them. I'm not going to repeat them. It's fun, because it's people I don't see all the time, because there's some people from different parts of the country. But, it's just sort of a different.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you and I are going to have some experiences that are similar, being, mid-Atlantic, DC, Philly, and then maybe somebody else is going to have, there's people you're going to have shared experiences with for different reasons. But, some of us in Diva have maybe got some shared experiences, but we don't
Have you become close to any particular person or persons?
Yeah. Well, that's where I met Jen.
Okay.
Jen Krupa, Lisa Whitaker, Barbara Laranga, Jamie. Sherry. She's one of my best friends now. I was scared to death of her for years. The band leader.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
But
All right.
it really is like a family. Even like the cousins that you don't really like, but they're your cousins. So
Yeah, it's all good.
whatever. Yeah.
You also mentioned that you perform with the National Symphony Orchestra. Do you play cello with the?
Yes, of course I do. Yeah, the irony of the thing is that as a saxophonist, I've ended up playing with the National Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
But I have Lee Lockman to thank for that. Now, we have Lee in common, right?
Okay,
He was your teacher, wasn't he?
Yes. Lee.
But he's been a friend.
Yes.
I met him. I think he was playing on Mike Crotty's band, but I think he recommended me to them.
Beautiful.
Yeah, years ago. Boy, and the first gig I ever did with them was with Mel Torme.
Wow.
Yeah, and Jay Lenhart. I don't remember who was on piano, but gosh.
You ever pinch yourself?
Yeah.
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 Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And of course, we got to mention the Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra. And I have the privilege and honor of performing.
We sat next to us.
And traveling, yes. And so we right before the 2020.
When we were in Asia. Yeah, of all places.
Our trip was cut short because of 2020.
Yeah, we didn't get to go to
Europe. I think, or was that
Paris and Frankfurt.
How'd you get that gig, by the way? Because I was a sub, really.
Well, I've never had the conversation, but I suspect it was Charlie gave me my name, Charlie Young.
Yeah, and how long have you been playing with them?
My first gig with them was 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
You remember the Egypt gig?
I do remember Egypt.
We're not going to talk.
Yeah, and the irony is the plane to Newark was late taking off because they were waiting for somebody to put my berry under the belly of the plane when finally they had just brought it up in the plane.
I'm going to put that story in my book.
Yeah.
But that was a beautiful experience. I mean, just seeing them pyramids. I mean, how was you? Did that impact you?
It was deep, man.
Yeah,
it was,
Did you get to go up? I went up in the pyramids.
Oh, and I am not one for heights, but I think we all went because I remember Tom Williams.
Yeah, he
maybe
didn't want to go. Yeah,
maybe a little claustrophobic, and we were crawling up like that. I'm like,
And oh God.
And then seeing the mummies, and those people were short.
Yeah, probably my ancestors.
Probably all of our ancestors,
But I remember going up in them pyramids and can you imagine somebody closing the door and it's
we'd be dead. You don't know.
Well, I'd be like, it's a movie called Harlem Nights, and a guy gets locked in this. He's I don't know if it was a bank or something, and he said Eddie Murphy said just go. But in my mind, when we went up there, I was like, and it was such a small little, and it was hot.
Yeah, it was.
And I said,
yeah, it was.
All right, I'm ready to get out.
Yeah, I remember the climb up.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was, and you think because it's so big, it'd be some. I think the bigger part is under.
Because I remember there was one in one of the runouts we did, one of the other times where it was you kind of went down and around and saw the paintings on the side, and that we saw a lot of the underneath part. Yeah. So
that was a great experience.
Yeah.
Have you done some arranging for the Smithsonian Jazz?
Not so much. They've played at least one of my charts.
Okay.
And they were supposed to play another one on the concert that got canceled in March 2020. Okay. So I don't know if it's coming up in June or not, if we'll play that one.
That's quite an honor.
Yeah, it is. Wow. I mean, it's an honor just to sit there.
But to have, I think it is.
To have that, and Diva's recorded.
Yeah.
I've got 2 arrangements on the CD that's coming out this month.
Let's talk about you as an arranger. What
do you want to know about finale? I'm really good at
Yeah.
finale.
But I think I was reading up, you're a very accomplished composer and arranger. What inspired you to become a composer and arranger?
Um, well, the funny thing is, as I said, when I went to Berklee, I just kind of tested into some upper level arranging classes. And from there, it's like, okay, you're an arranging major. Okay. But I remembered before that, when I was in middle school, or as we called it, junior high, we were doing like the Wizard of Oz or something, and they wanted me to do rehearsal pianist, and I was like sort of just good enough to do some of it, but I like really didn't want to. And I had it in my idea, well, if I took the sheet music and kind of assigned different notes to different instruments, could I kind of arrange it for like two horns and whatever. And I tried it, and as it happened, the day they tried it in the stage band rehearsal, I was out sick.
Okay.
So all I ever heard was that it didn't really work, but I don't really know. But it's funny because even back then, I guess I had this idea of, well, what if you gave this note here and this note there? And I don't know.
You've done some arrangements. Your arrangements have been featured on, you say Eva Cassidy?
Yeah, I did a lot of horn writing for her. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet her?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And I did a bunch of charts. So she and Chuck, had done a Blues Alley gig, and then they wanted to do some live gigs. And so I ended up transcribing a lot of that, writing it out for three horns, and I did a bunch of gigs with them live.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And what's the Maurice Hines?
Maurice Hines, Tapping Through Life. So you know Maurice Hines, the tap dancer, and his brother Gregory. Mm-hmm. So he had a 9-piece book, and we would play. He knew the fellow who founded Diva had been the Hines brothers' manager at one point. So when Maurice would have like a one-off show, like Sherry would book the band, and I got to play with people like Bobby Cranshaw on that band.
Wow.
Yeah, Frank Owens, yeah. But then there was this idea of having Maurice do a whole like review, like a show about his life. So and he wanted to do a lot of big band stuff, but we had a 9-piece orchestra, so I was transcribing "Luck Be a Lady Tonight" and boiling it down for 9 pieces.
Wow.
And but we opened that show in Arena Stage in 2014, and the show played a couple of different places. I played it there, and I played it in Cleveland.
Did you write you wrote for them?
Yeah, I did all the
wow.
transcriptions and orchestrations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And the copy work.
Wow, I told you, you're very accomplished.
I like it. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like, well, I got this many notes and this many instruments, and this is the sound I want. How am I going to get it?
Wow. Real quick, we're going to talk about you as an educator. We touched on it.
Okay.
Okay. What has your experiences as an educator been like? And where do you teach?
Well, right now I'm teaching at Maryland. I'm back there. I had been gone for like 10 years while I was, pursuing various doctorates. But I'd gone right from being a student there to teaching, because the fellow who'd been teaching jazz theory moved up to the directorship and gave me the theory class, and then said, and you're going to teach arranging in the spring.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And since I'd done an independent study project where I put together an arranging curriculum, I was ready to go. But I taught there, and I've taught a couple semesters of jazz history there, off and on, and I taught jazz history for non-majors at Towson, and put together an online course for non-majors at Mason, and was offered a couple teaching gigs that I had to turn down for various reasons. But it was funny because it was never anything I planned. Even though at 18 I thought, okay, I'm going to teach theory. I kind of hadn't really been going in that direction, but I do love it.
Beautiful.
And we have a good time.
And are there challenges? What are some of the challenges?
Juggling my schedule, my performing schedule, and teaching.
Are the kids receptive? Are the students receptive?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation now than when I was there before. Because of the pandemic, enrollment's kind of down, and it's a young program, a lot of undergrads, and my class is only open to grad students and juniors and seniors.
Okay.
So, and it got moved, so it's now opposite wind orchestra and orchestra, so nobody who's in those classes, in those ensembles can take the class, so my enrollment's really low. So I've actually just have two students.
Okay.
I've had them in the fall, and then they carried over to the spring. But they're a great pair of kids. But I mean,
You teach privately?
I do not like to teach.
Okay.
No. But it's funny when I think back, because, various people have rolled through Maryland on their masters, and it's like Jen was in my class, Jen Krupa. Kenny took arranging.
Wow.
I mean, Ben Boker and
Wow.
Brent Madsen, Brad Lindy, one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I met him when he was my student. I mean, I can't take credit for these guys.
Wow.
Maybe I can take credit for they do beautiful part layout, but I mean, these cats all knew what they needed to know when they came in. But it's been interesting. And then I've had opera majors.
Wow.
Who have no clue.
Your story writes like a book.
Well, I don't know about that.
Just go from one thing to
Just
okay.
I
Next,
just keep drifting. I don't know.
You also have a very impressive discography, and I'm looking at all this, and you have your debut CD.
Yeah, I did that in 2016, and it was just a live performance at the Washington Women in Jazz Festival.
Okay.
And I did it at Tonal Park, which is a space like this. It's tracking and performance. And I just thought, well, let me record it and see what happens.
And the name of it is
Strunken. It's
Strunken.
named for Strunken. It's named for Steve Strunk.
Okay.
And
Cool.
the title track is very kind of convoluted, kind of like a Lee Konitz-y kind of melody.
Gotcha,
And Konitz and Warren Marsh have a lot of titles that are like contrafacts that are like Thingin', which is what is this thing called love, and Yarden, which is Yardbird Street. So this is Strunken for Steve Strunk.
That's all good.
Which is a terrible title for a seat.
No, it's cool. It's hip.
Shrunken.
This is jazz. We do that jazz.
Whatever.
What's that? With that deer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
Doodling. This here. Yeah. Yeah, we do that jazz.
Yeah, we do.
You know.
We doodling it. Yeah.
We're almost coming down to the end. I want to talk about women in jazz.
All right.
Okay. What is it like being a woman in jazz?
Well, I don't know because I don't know what it would be like.
Like not being.
Exactly.
Were there challenges?
Oh yeah.
That you sometimes people may, because we coming from different perspectives, have you had challenges?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's one experience I had that the fellow who was responsible for it is dead now, but if I could dig him up and make him miserable, I would. It was a horrible experience.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
there's been definite challenges. On the other hand, I've gotten to play with Diva and make some best friends, deep friends, and travel and have my music recorded and played. And,
Wow.
Have the experience of playing lead alto for a couple of years.
Wow.
I mean, they said, how do you feel about playing lead? I'm like, well, I feel like I'm a section tenor and barry player, but whatever you need me to do.
Wow.
So I wouldn't have gotten to do that.
Beautiful.
So, there's challenges for all of us.
No doubt.
But, and I mean, it's like, there's challenges for all of us.
But you overcome.
Did you ever work with Tony Kelly?
Yeah, Tony Kelly.
Tony Kelly. And I love Tony because the only thing he would ever say between tunes is, thank you, we love you, you're beautiful. The next number will be. Do you remember that? And we wore the yellow jackets or the green jackets or whatever.
Wow.
And I was playing with Tony's band at Suitland High School one time.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, Tony never said a word. Uh-huh. He never said a word. Except, thank you, we love you, you're beautiful, the next number. And he was doing this little piece that featured the Barry. Mm-hmm. And what he was trying to say to the kids is, don't let challenges get in your way. You can do whatever you want. But he says, we're going to feature Leigh on Barry, and Lee's going to play Barry. And when you're listening to her, I just want you to remember, you can overcome anything. Chris Backus was playing first tenor, and Chris said he was on this end of the section, I'm on this. He said he just looked down at me and thought, I wonder what's going on through Lee's mind right now.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm like, well, there's a I could be overcoming a lot of things. We're just not even going to explore it. Just leave it be.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But hopefully we all rise to our challenges.
No doubt.
Meet them and learn from them.
Yes. And we have a women in jazz festival here in the DMV.
Yes, we do. Thanks to Amy Bormet.
Amy Bormet, wonderful pianist.
Yeah.
And you've performed in
Since the that's
and that's this month, isn't it? Isn't that March?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is it coming up?
To the 23rd through my concert on April 1st is the last one.
Okay.
So it's March 23rd.
Tell the people.
Tell the people. So WashingtonWomeninJazz.com, .org? I should know. But now Amy started the festival in 2011, and that's actually I think when I first started coming out to this idea that okay, I can be in front of a trio.
Wow.
But the festival's taken all kinds of different shapes through the years. Where the first year was like 5 Wednesdays at Twins, where she'd get 2 kind of headline artists and pair us together. We'd do our own sets, but also play on each other. So the other headliner on mine was Jessica Boykin Settles.
Okay.
And Karen Chapdelaine was on that.
Wow.
I just love playing with Karen. So she's had the festival since 2011, and I've been part of it every year.
Moved to
L.A. and still did the festival.
Wow.
I know.
That's how you do it.
I know, but it's we're really glad to be back in person. She'll be playing on my concert.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's coming up.
I got the 2 Amy's. I got all kinds of folk.
All right. We have some final questions. We always got to this. You're married to a musician.
I am.
Chris Walker.
Yes.
What is it like being married to a musician? And how'd you?
Well, I don't know because I've never been married to anyone who wasn't a musician. But I don't think I could have married a civilian, as I like to call them. Fortunately, we kind of do very different things.
Okay.
And
he's a trumpet.
Yeah, he's a trumpet player, and he was in the Commodores.
Okay.
Not the Lionel Richie one, the other one.
Yeah.
And now he does a lot of shows.
Okay.
And that's what he likes to do. And so, we kind of do different things, which is nice because we understand what each other do.
Stay in your lane.
Exactly. And people are like, oh, do you get to play with your husband? And it's like, what they don't understand is that maybe, I've played in a bunch of wedding bands where maybe I stood next to him, but like if I'm in a big band, he's back there.
Gotcha.
I'm up here. He's playing the top notes of the section of the band. I'm playing the bottom. It's like I have nothing to do. And if I'm on the break, I want to talk to the people I don't see every day. So it's like.
But do y'all play at home?
No.
That's hilarious. But that's cool.
Yeah.
It's all good. It worked. Make it work.
It works. It works. Yeah.
So beautiful. Tell him I say hello, by the way.
I will do that.
Yes. And I guess you did mention, the next question is what's next for Dr. Leigh Pilzer?
Well, let's see. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going up to New York on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Play at Dizzy's with Diva.
Okay.
And then I'm coming back, and on the day I come back, play Sunday night, and then Monday afternoon, I'm here rehearsing with Smithsonian for a video we're doing.
Okay.
And then on Monday night, I have a rehearsal with my septet.
Okay, wow.
And then we're doing the taping with Smithsonian, and then I think I have a minute to catch a breath, and then I do my septet concert. 7 Pointed Star is the name of the group.
Okay.
And I have absolutely no idea what happens after that.
Okay. You work any new recordings?
Well,
in the near future?
Yeah, I'm not, this kind of came up last minute, but we actually are going to go, the septet's going in the studio the day after, and the week, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to go in and see what we get.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because some time opened up, and I don't know.
All right. Our last question. How can people contact you? And
Well,
you can look right in the camera and let the people know.
So the advantage of having a name that people cannot spell or pronounce is that when it goes to register your domain, you get it. So my website is leighpilzer.com, and that's LEIGHPILZER.com. There is no N in my last name. There is no T in my last name. There is no S. So leighpilzer.com. And I'm on Facebook at Leigh Pilzer, and I have an artist page, baritone saxophonist Leigh Pilzer, and I'm on Instagram, and I have YouTube. But, just send me an email, say hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like I should ask you some questions, but I'm all like,
You can ask me questions. No,
what made you decide to start the series?
Huh?
What made you decide to start the series?
Great question. I have a friend named Munir Nasser, who's a trumpeter. His dad is
Yes.
Jamil Nasser, who's played with Train.
Right.
But he's been my best friend. We met at Howard. We've been best friends since the 88. So
Wow.
30, over 30 years. And not only is he a trumpet player, and
Well, he's a historian, isn't he?
Huh?
He's a historian. He wrote a book, didn't he?
Yeah, he just wrote a book on his dad.
Yeah.
But we talk all the time. I ask questions like I'm asking you. I mean, he can tell you when a cat died. And he has a mind
I'm terrible at
he's one of
that.
those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Historian, jazz historian.
Yeah.
Because he came up as a kid and he was asking his dad questions. So I mean, he read all the Downbeat magazine. He's a avid reader and so I would just get stories from him, and I said, Munir, man, you need to let people see your gift or your talent. I said, why don't you let me interview you? And I was just trying to give him a platform to showcase him, and so I said, well, I called Jeff at Blue House, and we set it up, and we did the first one, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And so I tried it again, and people liked it, they enjoyed it, so
Oh yeah, it's
I
great.
said, well, let me.
Well, and you started this since the pandemic, right?
Probably during the pandemic.
Yeah, because what we were saying is if you want to say a benefit of the situation is, like Jeff's developed a beautiful space here,
no doubt.
Where you can do performance with beautiful lighting and setup and great sound, and then get people involved, and so now it's gotten us out of our little local little thing.
And what I've learned is that, like, people that you've known, like, we've known each other for some years, but I didn't. I learned more about you now just talking to you and asking you, because we go on the bandstand, but we don't know each other. We don't know the little intricate. How'd you get there?
On the gig, we're talking about how cold it is at Queen Elizabeth Park.
Exactly.
Remember that one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that gig. Yep. And so I just found it, like, for me, I'm just doing me. So I'm just asking questions, and so it just became a thing, and really interested in learning about people.
But it's like, I think I learned stuff about Amy.
Yeah,
Amy Shook.
So I said, well, let me do this as long as God blesses me to do it. And
I mean, it's quite a roster of folks you've had. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is quite an august group of people.
I believe that you
appreciate
just gotta,
the opportunity.
Yeah, do something, and you never know where it goes. So that's what this been. So.
Well,
anyway, I'm so honored to have you on.
I am honored
and
to
I'm
be
honored
here.
that you shared your story, and I can't wait to show it.
Oh Lord!
Because
Lord!
You're a great storyteller. You're anime. I love it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And all the best to you on what you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing great stuff, and life seems to just prepares you for the next step. So keep doing that. And
that's all you can do.
Thank you.
Just keep rolling.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay.
And there it is, right here, a conversation in jazz. And we'll see you on the next one.